transforming your life through hypnotherapy has never been easier. With the help of your host, Julie from CoachingHypnosis.net, and these power-packed minisodes, you're sure to find yourself engaging in more positive behaviors around both your physical and mental health. Here's your host, Julie.
G'day, it's Julie from CoachingHypnosis.net, and I'm here to address the topic of the one big weight loss hypnosis trick for 2022, because people have had enough of being a hero and gaining pandemic pounds at the same time. And I'm not a therapist or psychotherapist, but this is my 9th year as a clinical hypnotherapist in strategic psychotherapy, and I currently help my clients online. They change their life without changing out of their pajamas, and you deserve to know the truth about what can be achieved with weight loss using hypnosis. And weight loss really has nothing to do with you from a hypnotherapy point of view. It also doesn't have much to do with your habits. It's how you think. People think a certain way when they're unable to lose weight. So how do you decide what's abnormal consumption, what you can or can't control? How much is too much? When is it compulsion or consumption? And there are so many cognitive patterns to weight gain. There's stable attribution, that feeling that nothing will ever change. When food gives you so much comfort, food seems like the best strategy for feeling fabulous. Or sometimes it's like a flood or overwhelm that you just have to have it. And maybe you already know. Sometimes it's an emotional feeling in the present moment. And it reminds me of a friend of mine who once mentioned she had tried every diet: the grapefruit diet, the Atkins diet, the only eat meat diet, the low carb diet, the low fat diet, the calorie counting diet, and I think the Beverly Hills diet, and none of them worked. And it reminds me of Kathleen Tessaro's book, Elegant, where it's mentioned that in the spring pages of fashion magazines are filled with new diets, which if they are followed to the letter, lead to elegance. Although it's not necessary to be as skinny as a mannequin in order to be elegant, it's probably true the 10 best dressed women are also the 10 hungriest women on the planet. Slimming is almost a religion these days. But the question is, should you convert? Dieters can become dull to spend time with on social occasions. Kathleen recommends not just weighing yourself, but also weighing your priorities. After all, God made you who you are. And there's no use alienating all your friends and family with endless rules and regulations concerning what you can and can't eat. Being slender is elegant. Being neurotic and self-obsessed is not. And it reminds me of a story from George Burns' book, 101 Healing Stories, when a group of women were at an engagement and one woman asked a single woman, "How come you've never married? Have you not found the right guy?" She replied, "I found the right man all right. I knew exactly what I was looking for. I had a checklist of all the qualities I wanted, so I traveled around the world to find him. I started in New York. I found a very wealthy man. He was generous with his money, but he was withdrawn and unsociable, and that knocked him off the list straight away. I traveled to LA, where I found a man who was not only rich, but also fun, loving, happy, and outgoing. But the unfortunate thing was, he wasn't very handsome. In Sydney, I felt I was getting close. I came across a guy who was very independent, outgoing, tall, blonde, muscular. He was a surfer. He had the body of a pin-up model, but he was arrogant. So I travelled on to London, where I met a man who was rich, handsome, liberated in his ideas about women. I thought I was getting really close. At first I thought I finally found him, but he lacked the romance I was seeking. It's nice to have a guy who will cook and clean and do the dishes, but I wanted the red rose and moonlight picnic treatment as well. So I journeyed across the Channel to Paris and I found him. You know what they say about the French? He had it all. He was wealthy, friendly, liberated, sensual. He got a top rating on every item on my checklist. There was no question he was my perfect man. But the reason why I didn't marry him was simple. He was looking for the perfect woman. But before you start the one big weight loss hypnosis trick for 2022, see a doctor and check you're not nutritionally deficient in anything or have no underlying medical conditions, because that might just be why you're experiencing food cravings. In fact, most slim people rarely feel hungry. Some people have to remind themselves to eat, and there are so many hypnotic techniques for feeling full. It reminds me of the hypnotic gastric band. Hypnotist Paul McKenna has been successfully helping people with various ailments, and now he can perform a hypnotic gastric band procedure. And some hypnotherapists go as far as pretending to their clients they're having a real operation and perform hypnosis in a room that looks like, with all the sounds and beeps and machines in the background, like an operating theatre. And their clients love it. In my experience, people who have actually had the surgical version of the gastric bypass surgery love it. But months later, they discover it's uncomfortable because the way they were eating food hasn't changed. And that complicates things. But the one big weight loss hypnosis trick for 2022 is the Wheel of Life. I don't know if you've ever seen it. You can find pictures of it on the internet. You need to feel full of health, full of career satisfaction. You need to feel full of fun, trustworthy friends, and so much more. Financially full. How full are you in terms of regular fun activities, recreation, personal growth, romance? And while some clients arrive having not worn a swimsuit in years and feel unattractive, ugly, revolting, most people walk away losing weight and then realize they become full in all areas of their wheel of life, and what they look like is no longer as important as feeling full of life. So what if you chose to think about weight loss differently? But what if you didn't? The choice is yours.